And welcome to a new episode of the Consistent Performance Podcast. Today it's about whether you actually need good routines and habits to become successful. I just talked to a very successful agency owner, entrepreneur from Germany, and he realized he wants to improve his habits. But then, on the other hand, he wasn't quite sure because he heard from many successful entrepreneurs, right? If you know, for example, Alex Hormozy, right? They say on their social media, yeah, you don't need routines and they hold you back, and they can be a crutch that you want them but you don't need them, right? And things like that. Now the question is, habits, routines, that gets thrown into the same bucket a lot. And the question is, do you need those things? First of all, let's clear up with the difference. Habits and routines, they're not the same thing. Habits, everybody kind of loves them. Like, it's important to have good habits, right? They make the difference between the good and the bad life. And routines are more like, it sounds like, oh, it's always the same thing. And they are connected also to this miracle morning and wake up and do chanting and affirmations and all this kind of self-development, even like new age stuff. And a lot of business owners are like, I don't even have enough time anyway. Why would I spend time on that stuff instead of just sitting down, deep work, working, getting stuff done? The same thing that Alex Hormozy actually says, right? Which you should do instead. Now, what does that mean for routines and habits now? So let's talk about routines. If you batch a lot of good habits together, you can talk about that being a routine, something that you can do regularly. Can be different habits batched together, but it can also be like going to the gym regularly. That can be your gym routine, your workout routine. It's like different sets of exercises that you stack together, or the fact that at this and this time you always work out in that and that way. That's a workout routine, right? Alex Hormozy has no routines. Of course, he has routines as well, right? Workout routines and any other things as well. So this is very important to have, but it's not the most crucial thing. You don't need routines in that traditional sense that it takes like forever to do. It's like 1 hour in the morning, miracle morning, and these types of things. However, what you do need is good habits, and you don't need to stack them together to like something super long. But do you think that you can become successful if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is you just waste the first 3 hours randomly browsing your phone, and you do that regularly? Of course not, because you don't get the work done that is necessary. So you would call it a good habit to not check the phone in the morning and instead work on that most important tasks, eat that frog, do deep work, and so on. Now, how do you call this? You can say it's a good habit, but you can also say it's your routine in the morning to directly get deep work done. Now, people tell you, you don't need routines. Well, it's just semantics. It's like people define the word routine differently. However, if you think about guys that become super successful and done amazing stuff like Alex Hormozy, for example, how did this guy become successful? Well, he worked his ass off. He put a lot of hours in. He never stopped and so on. Well, let's talk about habits and routines. Do you think it was luck or something else that he used there to do that? Well, you could say it was discipline. But what exactly does discipline mean? Well, he just set his butt down every morning and put in the work. Well, that's a freaking routine. And that is a good habit, because what he could also have done instead is, watch TV or do some other stuff. So it's a good habit. He chose to go down that path, right? And the other thing is also, if you look at him, he still prioritizes time with his partner. He still works out, all of the things that many business owners neglect totally. And that is something you can ask yourself as well, how you become successful. But on the other hand, Alex Hormozy is already successful. So in many ways, you can compare yourself to what works for a guy like him than what works for you. If, let's say, you're someone who just builds an agency, scales it to 7 figures or something like this. If your team is much smaller, the way you spend your day looks totally different than someone who has like a huge team and can do many different things, right? Can focus much more on content production, can be omnipresent, while you have to do many different things, right? And so that's the thing you have to ask yourself. What works for one person now that they're already successful might not necessarily be the thing that works for you. Of course, depends on your definition of success, let's say revenue level that you're at. And on the other hand, good habits are essential, because otherwise you are getting distracted. You're not doing the right things that are necessary to grow your business, and do so without burning yourself out. Because of course, you could also just, say, I don't go to the gym anymore. I don't eat good food. I just eat chips, and I don't drink any water. I don't go out and out the house. Don't get any sunlight. How long do you think you would last if you just sit in your house, just sit on the computer, and have really bad habits? Of course, you can work for this for weeks, maybe months, maybe even years. But at some point, you will understand this doesn't work like this. You will start to have pains. You will start to, the health breaks down and things like that. And that's why if you want to grow your business and be sustainably successful, you need to have good habits. Now, does it need to be long routines like you read in some books? No, it's just a practical way to batch some habits together that you like to do. For example, you can say, oh, our evening routine is we put the phone away. Pretty awesome habit, because it makes sure you don't check it directly in the morning. Very important for focus in the business. Then you read some awesome book that calms you down, or you do some stretching, good for your posture because you've been working and had some issues, some pains. And then maybe you talk with your partner about the day, right? And then that way, making sure that the relationship, that you keep that active. And then maybe do some stretching, or maybe read some book or something like this. That way you're calming down, you have good sleep, and therefore you make sure that the next day you're crushing it totally. Well, is that necessary? In some shape or form, it is, because if you don't do that at all, what's the alternative? You're going to do some really bad things in the evening, very likely things. If you, for example, eat super late, or you have your phone in your face the whole time, you're not going to have good sleep. If you don't have good sleep, chances are you're not going to have good focus and doing inefficient things in the business. So everything is connected. You do need good habits. If you look at the successful guys, even like guys, Alex Hormozi, other guys, they don't party every day late at night. They protect their sleep. They make sure they wake up recovered. Do you need to wake up early? Not necessarily, but solid sleep schedule. They protect that, right? Because they understand how it helps you to have better focus and produce better results in your business. So that is the main thing you have to think about. Yes, you do need good habits. You do need routines, but it depends how you define it, right? You can still choose how you set up a routine, and you don't have to do the same thing every day, but it's a semantics thing. You can just call it good habits. It's a fact, if you have bad habits, habit meaning you do it long term, right? Consistently, otherwise it's not called a habit. If you once watch a movie and eat some chips, it's no problem. Everybody can do that, right? But it's definitely a bad habit if you do something that impacts your sleep. And that long term will sabotage your business success. Sleep is essential. That's one of the best examples, right? Again, the focus in the morning. So that's the thing. You absolutely need good habits. Everybody tells you otherwise, trash. You can, of course, achieve success by sacrificing other areas of your life. No question, right? You can have bad habits and still be hyper successful and famous and whatever. But if you do want to have success in your relationship, and you define it as a happy relationship, you want to prioritize your health, you want to be healthy, and you want to respect your health and your body and your well-being, and at the same time achieve success in your business and be happy while doing that. So in short, have a good balance of your life, of all these areas, without grossly neglecting one of the areas, then you absolutely need good habits. If this is someone like you, don't fall to the trap of thinking, I don't need it. The problem is people give you bad advice on how you can implement good habits. It's absolutely possible for everybody. It's not that difficult with the right plan and approach. It's possible for you, even if you have failed on stuff in the past. I've worked with lots of people on that in the past, and we see all the time how we can change habits and improve their life and turn things around. Totally possible. So don't let people tell you you don't need it, because maybe deep down you're frustrated that it hasn't worked for you. Okay, so totally possible. You don't have to overload yourself, but it's just about a step-by-step process. If that is you and you want help with that, how that could look like in your situation, just go to kilianmarker.com and apply for a free consultation call, and I can help you also how that could look like for you. All right, until then, have a good week and talk to you on the next episode.